Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Soul Land 3 Legend of the Dragon King Part 19 based on novel. So let's start. As Tang Wulin entered a state of extreme focus, he became immensely clear-headed and knew very well that if he were to move backwards, the hammer in his left hand wouldn't be able to reach his teacher. Thus, he loosened his grip on the hammer in his left hand, which then abruptly flew towards Wu Zhongkong. Wu Zhongkong casually flicked the wooden sword in his hand, horizontally brushing Tang Wulin's left hammer. Wu Zhongkong's martial soul was actually a sword. He was practicing to reach the realm of one sword cleaves all techniques. Thus, regardless of whatever assault was used or whoever the opponent was, Wu Zhongkong chose to use only his sword. However, he suffered this time around. As the hammer and sword collided, Wu Zhongkong felt a strong wave of power transmit through his wooden sword. Although Tang Wulin's strength was unmatched by his, he had not released his martial soul and merely used a small portion of his soul power. Wu Zhongkong felt as though his wooden sword was on the verge of breaking. He wasn't even given a chance to gather more soul power when he felt the power flowing through his wooden sword double. Catcher! His wooden sword broke, and the 1,000 refined heavy silver hammer flew brazenly in the direction of his head. Wu Zhongkong flashed aside, avoiding the 1,000 refined heavy silver hammers with a close shave. Those seemingly small forging hammers fell towards the ground, creating a deafening booming sound. It gave Xie Xie, who was preparing to give his support to Tang Wulin, a big shock. Tang Wulin had forced back teacher Wu, and even broke apart his wooden blade. Retreating back a few steps, Tang Wulin held up his heavy silver hammer up to his chest in defense. Wu Zhongkong stopped, staring blankly for a while. He knew Tang Wulin's hammers were a bit strange. Stop! He raised his hand, halting Ji Yu and Xie Xie, both of whom were preparing to resume battle. Xie Xie looked at Tang Wulin weirdly, and then switched his gaze towards the grey hammer on the ground that he'd never seen before. He felt his heart contract with a wave of fear in that instant. The first time he had battled Tang Wulin, he'd been bound up by Tang Wulin. If this hammer had gone down towards him. Tang Wulin rushed towards the ground and picked up the 3 hammers, returning them into his heavy silver ring. Your hammers are abnormal. Wu Zhongkong looked towards Tang Wulin with an eye filled with doubt. Tang Wulin answered him, these hammers were made with heavy silver, and are slightly heavier than normal forging hammers. How heavy could they be? Let me see. Xie Xie was very curious about those hammers which had been able to break teacher Wu's wooden sword apart. Dang! Shortly after the heavy silver hammer left Tang Wulin's hand, it dropped to the ground. Xie Xie fell from the huge force of the inertia. Ayo! Xie Xie growled in pain. What's this thing of yours? It's so heavy. Wu Zhongkong walked towards him and picked up the 1,000 refined heavy silver hammer. They moved him unknowingly. No wonder his wooden sword had broken apart, the weight of this hammer. Tang Wulin commented, one hammer weighs approximately 150 kilograms. Wu Zhongkong asked. There were 3 waves of power. Did you cause that, or was that from something else? Tang Wulin hesitated for a moment before answering Wu Zhongkong, that's the ability of those hammers. After forging with the 1,000 refinements, unknown effects could be created. Mine came with one as well, and it's called the stacked hammers effect. Wu Zhongkong, though he had no knowledge of forging, knew that the pair of heavy silver hammers were precious. With a gentle nod, he questioned Tang Wulin, you very talented in forgery? I'm a blacksmith. As Tang Wulin thought about the treatment he'd been given from the Blacksmiths Association, he felt better. Wu Zhongkong's eyes revealed an expression of thoughtfulness as he raised his hand towards Tang Wulin. Come. Hold my hand. Tang Wulin grasped his hand. Wu Zhongkong's hand was huge and his fingers long. The grip felt cool, and there was not a hint of roughness. Pull me with all your might, show me how great your strength really is. Wu Zhongkong ordered Tang Wulin. Oh, Tang Wulin answered. He took a deep breath before gathering strength from within both his arms as he pulled. Wu Zhongkong readied himself. Like a nail, he stood still without moving even a strand of hair. As Tang Wulin put in all of his strength, his little cheeks started to blush profusely. Though Wu Zhongkong looked seemingly still, the partially hidden soul power vibrations revealed that he wasn't as relaxed as he seemed to be. He actually had to utilize his soul power to prevent Tang Wulin from dragging him away. That's enough. After a moment, Wu Zhongkong stopped Tang Wulin. It was only then that Tang Wulin stopped his pulling. A strange color flashed across Wu Zhongkong's steely demeanor. He patted Tang Wulin's shoulder. In the class promotion tournament, the three of you should compete together. If you could exert your strength to the current amount, then adding in our tactics, it should be quite interesting. As Tang Wulin and Xie returned to the dormitory, they were completely exhausted. Forget about forging, it would have been a miracle already if Tang Wulin could force himself into the meditation position. Starting from the next day, Tang Wulin was exclusively excluded from physical training classes. The reason was simply because Wu Zhongkong's physical fitness couldn't even compare with Tang Wulin's. Normal training was useless to a talented prodigy like Tang Wulin, and it would be better to make use of the time on other training. But what Tang Wulin was going to practice wasn't simple as well. It was to control his blue-silver grass. The other students from the first grades class 5 couldn't withstand the physical education class anymore, and on the third day, all of them fell into a mess on the ground. This was a return to the original schedule of having physical training class in the morning, then theory and knowledge class in the afternoon. As physical training classes were shortened to only half a day, the students felt more relaxed and nobody complained. Tang Wulin, Xie, and Ji Yu had all gone through a spiritual power, and the results were astounding. Xie's spiritual power was 29, which was regarded as good for others within his age group. It was considered a stage that neared the mid-level within spirit origin. Tang Wulin's spiritual power was 44, which was also considered within the mid-level range of the spirit origin rank. He kept silent about his previous level. Since the previous test showed that his spiritual power was 38, then within that short span of time, his inner spiritual power had grown by a lot. Both of their spiritual power levels had already stunned Wu Zhongkong somewhat. However, this was mild compared to what Ji Yu had to offer. Ji Yu's spiritual power was 119, far above the spirit origin rank. In ranking spiritual power, spirit origin was at the bottom. When the level of spiritual power grew above 100, it was considered to have entered the second-ranked spirit connection. Spirit connection was when one's mind and heart could communicate, meaning one's thoughts and one's will were one. When one reaches the spirit connection rank, that is when their ability to control their spiritual power begins, and where one can start controlling their spiritual power for their own purposes. One would then be able to bear the load of 2 yellow spirit souls or 1 purple spirit soul. Wu Zhongkong finally understood that Ji Yu's martial soul, elementalist, might actually be a rare variation of a spiritual type martial soul. It could be controlled fully by her when both her huge spiritual power and martial soul, elementalist, communicated with one another. Spirit system battle soul masters were one of the rarest type of soul masters in the modern era, and also the most sought after. This was because they combined well with mechas. This resulted in Wu Zhongkong increasing his awareness of Ji Yu. Of course, their arduous training process wouldn't differ from others. One would be required to train even harder if they caught the icily arrogant Prince Charming's attention. And so, a week's time soon flew by. Tang Wulin hadn't taken time off to visit Mang Tian's workshop, so naturally he hadn't managed to complete his forging tasks. DD. Just as he laid on his bed, Tang Wulin's soul communicator beeped. Tang Wulin had nearly forgotten about this matter. As a soul master, he didn't need to buy soul electricity to recharge his batteries. He could simply use his soul power to maintain it. The communicator displayed a particular number. Hello? Tang Wulin accepted the call. What are you doing? A familiar voice came from the other side of the communicator. When he heard this voice, Tang Wulin immediately grew alert and hastily sat up. Teacher? The owner of the voice was Mang Tian. What's the matter with you? You haven't completed the second-rank mission even after a full week. Mang Tian harshly said. Tang Wulin hastily responded, That's not it, teacher. I've just been preoccupied with my training and studies lately. I really haven't had the time to go to your workshop, but I had planned to go tomorrow on my rest day. Mang Qian went silent for a moment. You're only in the first grade, yet you're already so busy. Tang Wulin explained the course of events he had gone through starting from his arrival. As he spoke to Mang Qian, both Zhu Shangxi and Xie Xie inclined their heads towards Tang Wulin in search of gossip. Ian. Come over tomorrow then. I'm also here now. Mang Qian hung up after saying these last few words. Hey, Tang Wulin. Didn't you say you have no money? How are you able to afford a soul communicator? Xie Xie questioned unhappily. Tang Wulin answered, this was part of the benefits I gained after I joined the association. I didn't buy it. I wouldn't be able to afford it otherwise. Association? What association? Zhu Shangxi curiously asked. Yun Xiao also turned his head from the side in curiosity. Needless to say, after a whole week's worth of physical training, everyone's bodies revealed a clear change. Since they were soul masters, their physical recovery speed was much faster than an ordinary person's. Ordinary people would be hard-pressed to endure such harsh training, but for soul masters like them, most would have recovered after a night of meditation. The Blacksmiths Association. My martial soul's innate talent wasn't high enough, so I began to learn how to forge at a young age. Yun Xiao pensively asked, does forging have anything to do with your ridiculous strength? Tang Wulin nodded. Xie Xie said, a blacksmith, the kind that purifies metal. Tang Wulin nodded once again. Ian, Xie Xie said, do well on this path and you'll have a good future. I remember my father buying a mecha core component that had been 1,000 refined once. It seemed to have been really expensive. How about you purify some metals for me once you reach the Grandmaster rank? Tang Wulin inquisitively asked, you want to become a mecha master? Xie Xie proudly answered, of course. I come from a family of famous mecha masters. It's only natural that I want to become one as well. When he spoke these words, both Zhu Shangxi or Yun Xiao had climbed down from their bunks with their curiosity piqued. For youngsters like them, mechas were the dream. Tell me. What is a real mecha master like? What qualifications would a person need to meet? Zhu Shangxi urged him on with a childlike wonder befitting his age. Xie Xie had grown familiar with them these last few days, and no longer had his initial air of arrogance. The atmosphere within their room had now grown harmonious. After countless years of development, soul mechas have gone from smaller frames to larger than back during the modern era. Despite going through a cycle, their individual strengths have increased by a great deal. A mecha of a powerful mecha master would be about the same size as their body. Even with its small size, the amplification effects are huge. With the addition of its fusion with a martial soul, one can become a super solider. Supposedly, the mechas of divine rank mecha masters were personally created by their own hands. Tang Wulin said, then doesn't that mean all divine rank mecha masters are blacksmiths? Xie Xie rolled his eyes. Of course they aren't. When I say create, I meant that the mecha master personally inscribed arrays into their mecha so that it's more compatible with them. Naturally, if they also happen to be skilled in forging, then the compatibility rating would be even higher. So, how high is your forging skill then? Tang Wulin hesitated for a moment, but he felt that he couldn't lie to his friends. He had already considered Xie Xie his friend since the day Xie Xie had stood up to Mu Shi for him. I'm just barely able to complete the 1,000 refinements, Tang Wulin said. Yun Xiao and Zhu Shangxi didn't have much knowledge of forging, but the aristocratic Xie Xie was somewhat aware of details of the field. He asked in astonishment, are you saying you've already reached the rank of Grandmaster? Tang Wulin shook his head. I haven't yet. I'm still just a second-rank blacksmith. Wow! Yun Xiao cried in alarm. Although he had little knowledge with regards to forging, he still understood the rankings of professions such as blacksmithing. You're only 9 years old yet you've already reached the second rank in your trade. It had to be stated that a second-rank craftsman was already able to provide for themselves and survive within their association. All of them were still children, but they understood that even if Tang Wulin's martial soul was just blue-silver grass, as a second-rank craftsman, his situation was completely different. There was a qualitative leap between a second-rank craftsman and a third-rank craftsman. Once one reached the third rank, they would have stepped through the threshold between commoners and the upper class. Moreover, once they reached the fifth rank, they would be considered one of the elites of society, regardless of their trade. At that rank, they would receive the title Master Craftsman. Xie's eyes spun as he came to a realization and wrapped an arm around Tang Wulin's neck. Tang Wulin, we're brothers, aren't we? Tang Wulin unhappily shot a glance at him. With nothing to offer while hiding evil intentions like that, what are you up to? Just say it directly. Xie gave a mischievous laugh. I'm not up to anything. How about you'll help me forge mecha components in the future? How about it? I'll definitely pay you the market price. Tang Wulin distrustfully said, what do you need me for? Can't you just go to the Blacksmiths Association and directly issue a request? It would also be at the market price. Xie looked at him in amazement. It seems that you don't have a good understanding of the blacksmithing industry yet. Do you think that just because a task is issued, it is guaranteed to be taken? There are very few blacksmiths at the Grandmaster rank and above, and the people who are willing to thousand refine something are even fewer. Not just anyone can issue a task. In order to switch out all of the old components for thousand refined versions for my father's mecha, it had taken no less than 4 years. And that was with the good relationship he had with the Blacksmiths Association. You're able to thousand refine things right now. In a few years, you'll have reached the Grandmaster rank. If you become my personal blacksmith, then wouldn't I be able to get a full thousand refined mecha even sooner? That's the symbol of a true noble. After hearing him speak, both Yun Xiao and Zhu Shangxi's eyes lit up. Tang Wulin helplessly nodded. Fine. I'll help you guys once I've reached that rank. Good brother. Xie tightly hugged him before loudly declaring, from this day forth, Tang Wulin is under the protection of Xie. Whoever dares to offend him will answer to my light dragon dagger. Keek, Yun Xiao coughed out, you should wait until you can defeat Gu before saying such words. When Gu was mentioned, Xie couldn't help but sigh. This week, he had competed against Gu more than once or twice. Although he could hardly accept it, he had to admit that he couldn't defeat Gu at his current level. Gu's control of the 6 elements simply involved too many permutations. There was barely any patterns or rhythms behind them. Adding on to that, the amplification effect of her first soul skill, Elemental Tide, made it so that even in a battle of soul power attrition, he still couldn't match Gu. Tang Wulin called out, hey, it's getting late, we should all start our meditation. I have to meet with teacher tomorrow, so I won't be attending school. The Intermediate Academy had a break once every week, and students were allowed to do whatever they liked during this period of time. Tang Wulin hadn't had the time to complete his task of forging the Sky Dragon Iron and felt anxious about it. Mang Qian's arrival came as a coincidence. He was there to complete his tasks too. The next morning, Tang Wulin headed out of the academy after breakfast, rushing towards Mang Qian's forging workshop. Ding ding dang dang. Loud sounds could be heard from the forging workshop, although Tang Wulin hadn't gone in yet. Teacher. Tang Wulin used his keys to open the door and entered the forging workshop. He found a rather busy Mang Qian. Mang Qian looked towards him. Ian. You're quite spirited. It seems that you have been earnestly cultivating. Tang Wulin scratched his head uneasily. But blacksmithing. Mang Qian waved his hands. You can already perform the 1,000 refinements. That's already as good as being promoted to a different stage. Such a thing cannot be improved purely through practice. With regards to your current age, practicing harder to increase your soul power is still the most important. Thus, there was no fault in your actions. But from now on, come here every weekend. Okay, go and change your clothes. I'll help you familiarize yourself on the use of the 1,000 refined heavy silver hammers. You can complete your task later in the afternoon. Mang Qian couldn't bring himself to maintain a cool disposition towards his disciple. When he tried getting his disciple's contact number from Grandmaster Center Yu, he was pestered endlessly by Center Yu for a long period of time. Even the president had taken the initiative to personally approach him for it. Despite East Sea City's low standing within the whole of the continent, Mu Chen was still one of the 10 great Sink craftsmen on the continent. Such status wasn't only within the world of blacksmithing. He was a prestigious character throughout the continent. If not for his wife being a citizen of East Sea City, he wouldn't have come here. Yesterday, Mu Chen had suggested that if Tang Wulin had questions about anything in his studies, he would gladly help him. How could this not surprise and delight Mang Tian? However, it seemed to him that his own teachings for Tang Wulin was sufficient. He had his own selfish thoughts as well. If he were to pass Tang Wulin to Mu Chen now, who would be considered his actual teacher in the future? This was why Mang Tian didn't give Tang Wulin the opportunity to display the entirety of his abilities with the 1,000 refinements and directly proceed to third-rank craftsman. Tang Wulin's talent in blacksmithing wasn't simply based on his innate divine strength. Though it was rare to have innate divine strength, it was still possible. However, the real ability needed to rise up and become a top-notch blacksmith wasn't simply based on that. The higher the rank of a blacksmith, the greater the importance placed on one's comprehension and soul power needed to be. When they reached the later stages, it would be impossible to achieve a breakthrough without sufficient soul power. Mang Tian was one such example. If not for that requirement, he would have been confident enough to reach the Saint Craftsman rank. Tang Wulin's inborn power compensated for his insufficient soul power. More importantly, this child had a superhuman level of comprehension. He had the ability to enter a state of extreme focus during every forging session. Especially so when he performed the 1,000 refinements. This was where he was able to understand the life stored within the metal. Mang Tian remembered the past. It was only when he became a 4th-rank blacksmith that he'd managed to occasionally enter that state. Having said that, Tang Wulin was talented in many aspects of blacksmithing. With his diligence and determination, Tang Wulin hadn't slacked within these 3 years, and this had laid a solid foundation for himself. This obedient child Mang Tian was not willing to send him off to others. Mang Tian had the intention of cultivating Tang Wulin to the master craftsman rank before allowing him to reveal his full ability. Until then, Mang Tian vowed he would not let his disciple be snatched by any more. After changing his clothes, Tang Wulin started his forging practice on a normal piece of metal with his 1,000 refined heavy silver hammers. When he started, there was a little fuss due to the stacked hammers effect. These hammers, however, were forged via his blood sacrifice. After practicing with these hammers, he had worked to a state where his being synchronized with his hammers. Though similarly 1,000 refined, if one were to describe him and the tungsten hammers as 2 hearts that beat as one, then these heavy silver hammers that were forged using blood sacrifice had created a connection between his heart and soul. This feeling was weird, as it was both soothing and unforgettable. When he was immersed in such a stage, the use of the 1,000 refined heavy silver hammers wouldn't be a problem at all. When Mang Tian observed closely, the strikes of his disciple were quite simple. He watched as Tang Wulin worked in a state of deep concentration, with his eyes aglow as they seemed to reflect the sparks shooting from the heavy silver hammers. Mang Tian couldn't help it as a deep sigh escaped him. After completing the 1,000 refinements, this child's brilliance is finally showing itself. All the way until dusk, Tang Wulin skillfully forged the Sky Dragon iron with his 1,000 refined heavy silver hammers. Its completion marked the end of this day's practice. Let's go. I'll accompany you to the Blacksmiths Association to submit your task. Then you can receive your second task. You can complete it during your break next week, and then have it delivered, Mang Tian told him. Yes. Tang Wulin replied quickly. Mang Tian silently thought that with the presence of a week's buffer time, nobody would suspect Tang Wulin's true forging abilities. The Blacksmiths Association was far busier during the evening than it was during the day. Mang Tian brought Tang Wulin straight up to the 2nd floor to deliver his task and for the association specialist to check on the task item prior to giving Tang Wulin his remuneration. 20,000 Federation coins. This was the first time Tang Wulin had received such a large amount, and he passed the coins to Mang Tian. Teacher, for you. Mang Tian shook his head. After reaching the 2nd rank, and from a certain point of view, you've already finished your apprenticeship. This is rightfully yours. Tang Wulin answered, But I've used your forging workshop. Mang Tien's face revealed a smile. Do you think I mind that? Also, when your parents went away on their business trip, they informed me that you don't have to call home. Oh. Okay. Although Tang Wulin knew he was far from his aim, there was still a jubilant feeling within his heart with the gain of these 20,000 Federation coins. Hard work brings wealth and glory. This money was earned solely through his hard work. After collecting another second-rank task, he left the association with Mang Tien. Teacher, I'll treat you to a meal. Tang Wulin jumped forth with this suggestion. Mang Tien shook his head. You can have your meal back at the academy. Teacher has some other matters. You should remember to head to your teacher's place weekly to smith. Every month, you have to produce a few thousand refined products. Teacher will leave some materials for you at the workshop. Those 1,000 refined products will be the fee for using my forging workshop. Yes? Tang Wulin answered without any hesitation. With the 1,000 refined heavy silver hammers stacked hammers effect, the difficulty of the 1,000 refinements was now much less than before. The days soon flew by. For 6 days of the week, he would be hard at work cultivating. On the remaining day, he would forge. At this moment, Tang Wulin, along with Ji Yu and Xie Xie, were inside Wu Zhangkeng's office. He informed them that the first match of the class promotion tournament would begin the following week. Before Tang Wulin knew it, 2 months had already passed. During these last 2 months, everyone had changed by more than a little. The most important change was that under Wu Zhangkeng's special training, all 3 of them had gained a mutual understanding between each other, causing their relationship to be much more harmonious now. Ji Yu was without a doubt the strongest among the 3 of them. Even when he went all out, Xie Xie was unable to close the gap between them by even a bit. Xie Xie's soul power, however, had surprisingly grown to rank 19 over the past 2 months. After one more rank up, he would be able to receive the second soul ring from his 100-year spirit soul, thus becoming a soul grandmaster. Ji Yu's soul power had increased by 2 and reached rank 17. Despite him having blue-silver grass as his martial soul, Tang Wulin worked hard every day to improve his martial soul control while also using a higher-level meditation technique as he underwent Wu Zhangkeng's training. This had allowed his soul power to increase by 1 rank to rank 12. According to his current speed, he would definitely be able to reach rank 20 before he graduated from the intermediate academy. With his abundant self-awareness, Tang Wulin didn't bother to compare himself with Xie Xie and Ji Yu, instead completely satisfied with his progress. Teacher, who is class for sending to battle with us? Do you have their data? Xie Xie eagerly asked Wu Zhongkong. Wu Zhongkong coldly answered, if you guys need data on that measly class 4 in order to defeat them, could you still be considered my disciples? You only have one mission during the tournament next week, crush your opponents. Do you understand? Yes? All 3 of them exclaimed. Wu Zhongkong said, the class promotion tournament will begin soon. There will be 1 battle a day until the tournament ends. I'll give you guys a target. Win your way to the 4th grade. Winning all the way until the 4th grade? When they heard these words, Tang Wulin's eyes were filled with shock while Xie Xie couldn't help but gulp down his saliva, despite his confidence. It had to be known that the talented individuals of the 4th grade would already have acquired their 2nd ring. In fact, there were even some 2-ring soul grandmasters within the 3rd grade. Yet, they were only in the 1st grade and were tasked with fighting until the 4th grade. This was easier said than done. Wu Zhongkong indifferently replied, what I'm talking about is the 4th grade's class 1. Defeat the 4th grade's class 1 and you will all receive a reward. If not, I'll discard all of your class achievements. Xie Xie defiantly said, Teacher, isn't this too harsh? Wu Zhongkong said, if you find it harsh, then you can withdraw. Only Wu Lin and Ji Yu will compete then. Great. I don't want this leftover child, Ji Yu said with indifference as she played with her fingers. You? Xie Xie turned to glare at her. Since Ji Yu had always suppressed him with her strength, Xie Xie treated her with hostility from beginning to end. Ji Yu tilted her head and stared back at him. You can't accept this. Xie looked at Tang Wulin, who said, "Teacher has never changed his mind after deciding on something before. It's best if you do your best, young man." Wu Zhangkong's eyes twinkled as he revealed a smile. He was exceptionally pleased with these three disciples of his. Although Tang Wulin's innate talent was lacking, his innate divine strength more than made up for it. Moreover, Tang Wulin always put in his greatest effort. Although they had both increased by one soul rank, it would be wrong to compare Tang Wulin with Xie. In comparison to Xie, Tang Wulin had put in far more effort for that one rank. Moreover, it seems that after his blue-silver grass mutated into a variant, it seemed truly decent now. While it seemed that it could no longer evolve anymore, if it did evolve after he obtained his second ring, then there was the possibility of it becoming a high-level martial soul. Alright then. We'll commence with today's training. Tang Wulin, partner up with Xie and face Gu. Xie revealed a mischievous smile and then proudly said to Gu, "Watch how Big Brother puts you in your place." Gu coldly stared at him. "You will pay for how you just addressed me." Thus, the day's special training began. Sun with Rays. The class promotion tournament was a grand event for East Sea Academy and was held annually. This was because the class promotion tournament was the only event where the whole academy participated. The Advanced Academy had their own Advanced Division class promotion tournament, keeping their event separate from the Intermediate Academy's tournament. They would show off their most exceptional students in the tournament and the city would record their info and archive it. As for the upcoming class promotion tournament, it was crucial for obtaining a recommendation to enter high-class academies in the future. The rewards were also equally as generous. Classes that obtained exceptional results in the tournament would gain not only a change in rank, but the teacher in charge would also receive commendations. As a result, the class promotion tournament had become a symbol of honor and glory over the years. Being defeated by a lower-ranked class was considered a disgrace, while defeating a higher-ranked class was considered glorious. The reason the tournament was held 3 months after the start of class was to give the teachers enough time to choose the students who would participate, and also to provide ample time to plan their tactics. There was a moderate wind blowing and a beautiful sun shining down on this day. The blue sky was void of clouds for as far as the eye could see. A competition stage stood in the middle of the intermediate division's field. Although it was called a competition stage, it was actually just a 10-centimeter thick metal plate with a diameter of 100 meters. It occupied the majority of the field's area, and there were many soul barrier devices surrounding it, guarding against any potential accidents that may occur during the matches. Today was the first day of the tournament. For the sake of not disturbing the studies of the students, the tournament was held after school. At that moment, the bell rang, marking the end of the school day. Students began pouring out of the school building. Despite this, only a few headed towards the competition stage. For a match between Class 5 and Class 4 of the new first graders, how could it possibly be worth watching? The upper graders viewed a match such as this with disdain. They wouldn't come to watch the matches until the next day, when the first grades Class 3 stepped onto the stage. After the bell rang, the students of the first grades Class 5 lined up neatly and made their way to the field, standing to the side. After 3 months of special training, Class 5 had a completely different aura about them now. Although their talents weren't remarkable, under Wu Zhangkong's instruction, their stamina had made outstanding progress and their soul power had also increased greatly. The students of the first grades Class 4 arrived in 2s and 3s just a while later. It seemed that they weren't worried about the match at all. A short and stout teacher walked over to Wu Zhangkong's side, wearing a massive grin. "Teacher Wu, your students are pretty good. I'm nearly dying from how orderly they are in their line. My Class 4 students are so undisciplined. As such, please start off leniently on my Class 4 today. Although we might not be able to be promoted to Class 3, you must help us preserve our position as Class 4. Wu Zhongkong shot him a glance before returning his gaze to the front, completely treating him as heir. This video will end here.